Today we're going to be tying a modified foam-bodied CDC Caddis green caddis. I'm starting with the TMC 100. I've got some 6/0 black uni thread. I'm going to start behind the eye. So we've had outstanding luck in past years with this foam-bodied CDC green caddis fly. But one of the problems has always been that the CDC has been relatively weak, if you will, as far as fish eating it and tearing the CDC apart. So what I've done is incorporated kind of a new technique of tying the CDC in. I've got a piece of chartreuse 2mm foam that's going to be the body. And I'm going to tie that about halfway down the shank. And I'm just going to kind of wrap that body up and forward. So no rib needed in this, and it's actually going to help, reinforce the fly a whole bunch. I've got 3 CDC feathers. Dun is the proper color. Different manufacturers have different names for it. This is actually a Petitjean CDC feather. They're pretty substantial. So what I've done is I just take my fingers and just slick all the CDC feathers, plumes off the side, and then set it down in my Magic Tool. And I'll do the same thing. I got 3 feathers worth of CDC, so that's one of the improvements on this, is that we're going to get better flotation because we actually have more feather in it. So I'll stack all 3 of those feathers inside of the clip. I've got a piece of 30-pound mono. Wire also would work for this application. And what we're going to do is we're just going to line it up right on top of the stems, and then just set the feather down into the clip. So now we take the secondary clip and we come in here and we grab all that nice CDC plume. Make sure it's on there nice and tight, get as much as we can. And that just kind of preps it up so that we've got all that extra plumage hanging down into that clip. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors. We're just going to cut along the lowest stem. So now we've got all these exposed tips right here. We're going to go in, we're going to make a small dubbing loop. Now I'm using the Petitjean Bobbin as well. You would use a whirligig tool or whatever you like for twisting up dubbing loops. I'm going to take that clip, I'm going to set the feathers directly inside. Takes a little bit of practice here to get that feather kind of lined up right on the edge the way that you want it. And then also one aspect of it is that you have to have space to spin your dubbing loop. We've got our plumes lined up in there. We're just going to hackle. Each time I make a wrap, I'm just kind of getting that that wing out of the, or that hackle out of the way. We're building up just a nice collar of CDC up front there. Once we've got that all the way wrapped off, slip our loop off. Because this works on kind of 3 lines on there, every time you wrap, you're wrapping down on top of it, so you don't have to worry about your dubbing loop kind of coming unraveled. I'll just slide all the plumes out of the way, make room for the wing. Want to do that.
That was a pretty quick recovery, Barrett. Is that because of that bobbin?
100%, man. That bobbin is just it's been awesome.
So it just slips down the eyelet.
it slips right down the eyelet. There's a little titanium pigtail in there, and you just thread it through. It works like a champ. I just can't say enough good stuff about it. It's great. So now I've got some dyed done, compare done, all-purpose. You know, kind of just pick your winging material. I like the dun colored wing. Some of the compare dones have a little bit longer, not as fine hair on it. That's perfect for this fly. So we got, you know, good length in there. I'm going to take a relatively substantial wing. Let's go through, pick out all that under fur. Put it inside of our hair stacker here. Those tips should be nice and even now. So I'll measure that hair on there, you know, just like your standard elk hair caddis. We want the tips just about even with the butt. I hold that wing really tight in place. I don't want it to slide around. I don't want the material to roll over to one side or the other. Make a couple wraps on it, get it nice and tight. And I'll go through the stub ends of that wing just to help tie it in and reinforce it a bit more. Adding a bit more flotation again, the more of those hollow ends we have. Build up a small head. I'll whip finish now. I'm just going to come in and clip off the butt sections. And there you have a completed, modified green caddis with the CDC collar. Because that CDC is in that dubbing loop, we don't have to reinforce it with an extra wire. It's going to make a much more durable fly, not to mention that we're incorporating about 2 times more CDC into the fly. Great spring pattern here on McKenzie and Willamette, one of my favorites. Hope it's one of yours too.